YouTubers, how's it going? Mike Martins here, Mike Martins channel, bringing you a special edition of Housing Crisis. Let's read some comments. I got a lot of, this channel is built off powerful comments, a lot of good feedback, lots of good insight, lots of good collaboration with each other. I love it. The people that go in and try to be smart butts and pretend they're like the king of the world and talking down at people, I just remove them because number one, they don't contribute anything that's gonna help. Two, they could go on other channels. So that there's millions of channels on YouTube, so they don't have to deal. We don't have to deal with them on this channel. So I also want to thank people for moderating my channel, because people have been reporting people that have been coming onto my channel and commenting some really rude and bad comments, and I appreciate people monitoring my channel and reporting people and comments that are not very mean things people say. Anyways, I want to get to some of this. I got so much here, so many good comments. A lot of them that got a lot of talk was Australia's huge Vancouver discussion, a little bit of New Zealand discussion, some California discussion here. People from California weighing in. It's really nice when you get all these people coming together and weighing in on what they think or what they, what their 2 cents is, Let's start with this one. So this one is from the article I read called, this one I just put up like an hour ago. CEO concern about correction in Vancouver, Toronto housing market. So Tyson weighs in and says, it's good that the Canadian banks are actually have a clue. This means they won't collapse once the correction hits hard. If that happens, they would just start looting people's bank accounts, bail-ins. And you've seen bail-ins happening in Europe many times. I think with Cyprus? I think it was Cyprus. I can't remember. And then JW weighs in and say, they don't have a clue. They never have. They are greedy, self-serving entities, not your supporter or helper to gain success. Granted, the subprime and ninja loans are reduced in Canada 2009. They had to invent $125 billion Canadian to prevent a collapse and keep it quiet. In the current quest for low inflation and constant economic growth, they had to create excessive household debt. Right. This time around, major Canadian cities face home values over 10-to-1 family income. That's very true. Ingress of alternative lenders, subprime Krusty loans, that's from Krusty the Clown, family equity loans, over-leveraged households, and consumer debt. FIRE, based on economy, is not an economy, just a political technique on paper game. Bail-in legislation has been approved, and they know it is coming, but no self-serving politician listens to the BOC and the CMHC. That is just how it is and how it will be for a while. 2 generations of mortgage holders have seen falling interest rates skewing the perception of real estate investment risk, but this is not the historical norm. So JW is our Max Kaiser here on our page that actually goes in depth with his opinion, and most of it is fact. There's no question about it. And he puts his own curve on it, and really good comment. And then here from Daniel O'Brien's from the United States is saying, in the States, most loans are sold to Fannie Mae. They follow their regiments, I guess. They service the loan with no risk. Yeah. Okay, so then somebody else commented on that. This is a really good one. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again. Low debt cash position ASAP, everyone. And then somebody replied, say, JW, what do you mean? This is JW again. There is more debt than money, my friend. When the music stops, you best be the guy with the cash. When I was young, my mother cooked and I ate dinner with a lawyer man who survived the Depression. He repeatedly said he made his fortune through acquisitions and antiques in the 1930s. Really good reply to that. Then Harriet comes commented saying, "Crazy train is picking up the speed, heading downhill, and wheels are coming off. The implosion will be devastating for so many hardworking Canadians, and it's the working poor that's going to suffer." So let's go to... So those are the comments on that, and that was just like not even... Man, that wasn't even 2 hours ago it's been put up. Let's go to other comments here. I really appreciate this. So, like, one thing a lot of channels don't get... Sorry, guys. It's getting late. What a lot of channels don't get is they don't get this kind of feedback. I go on to a lot of channels, you see these one-liners, and it's just people destroying each other, and... You know what I'm saying? And it's not good. It's not good. Anyways, let's continue here. This is from Australia. This is from the story I made yesterday. Housing crisis Australia, credit ratings under threat. So guys, do me a favor. Go on your social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Share links of my videos. Let's get me out there. Seeing that no one else is weighing in on this and taking the reins and, you know, discussing such important matters. Please go on your social media. Just share me on Facebook, share me on Twitter, share me on and anything that gets made off AdSense, like I said, goes to the women's shelter across the street from my shop. And this is a good one from Alex Calderon. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sorry. "I have a small business in Australia, and last year I needed a small overdraft bank loan. I would only be approved for a tiny amount, but my employees could take up to $450,000 house loans after working for me for 3 months. Wish list, having debt up to your eyeballs. That's when things clicked." So it's starting to make sense. Yeah, and then I replied to him and said, "Dude, it's a rude awakening. There will be a big show soon." And then he said, basically, one guy replies and says, "If your business folds, it's done. Your employees will get another job." He wasn't talking about that. Anyways, then he says, "Results, true. I can't afford a house." Yeah, because there's some guy, okay, I see what's happening here. Some guy came in, we had to remove his comment. Effing this, effing that, effing this, and effing that, and we had to get rid of him off the channel. Apparently, he's a guy who bought it in a year and a half ago, and he's having a really hard time coping with he finally stopped commenting when he kept telling me that I'm retarded, that the average house, to build an average house, costs $300,000 to $400,000 just for the materials. After I bought this 11-bedroom, 7-bath house for $260 large, he stopped commenting on almost an acre of land in Cowboy Town. It's beautiful here. I love it. Beautiful downtown. It looks like old saloons, Look at my other videos and Living the Dream. Let's continue here. Find vids on Australian markets. Even though the feds aren't taking action recently, the Victorian state government said they're going to go tackle the housing affordability, and a new premier of NSW, New South Wales, I think, said housing affordability is the most significant issue facing Australians. So we will have to wait and see what happens. That's it. You got to vote him out. Anthony Brown from Australia says, "I've been living in Australia and have been keeping an eye on the GDP to household debt on the trigonometrics.com. The current data has got Australians at 123%. Holy smokes. Whereas the previous quarter, it had us at about 125%. I'm hoping that this continued downtrend for credit-fueled bubble in this country, 60 to 80% GDP to debt would be the ideal number. I think this would take 30 to 50% value off ridiculous housing market." Yeah, easily 30 to 50 points. Easy. If not 60, 70, depending on some areas. Okay, Aussie Sam. This is from Aussie Sam. "This horse has already bolted several years ago and finally went its way too late. Some sleepy credit agency half wakes from the deep slumber and mumbles that possibly something may not be quite right. It's not the Oz government that's on the hook when these criminal banks go under. It's us taxpayers, or the 50% who pay any net tax. I'm so sick of the entire situation that I'm seriously thinking of quitting Australia due to this situation. Even though I love it here, taxpayers, and then in brackets says that 50% of Aussies who pay any tax are on the other hand will be expected to bail out the banks when it all blows up in our faces. I hope to see banksters hanging from lampposts. Whoa, that's pretty deep, pretty deep, pretty deep. But you shouldn't give up on your country. I mean, if you're Australian proper, I would keep your sovereignty. Maybe run for office on some, something. Get into politics. Get in there and get your voice heard. You know what I'm saying? Then Mega replies, exactly my thoughts. The cracks are being tapered over by government at the moment, but as soon as I start to see the inkling of panic, I'm hitting that the gold buy button, and Guardian's vaults in Sydney and getting my money out of those banks quick smart. Yeah, but what if they did what they did in Cyprus, or what was it? Was it Cyprus or Greece? They were doing $100 or 100 or 10 euro or 50 euros a day. I couldn't remember what it was. So they had a limit on how much. And then the bank went on a holiday for a month. I don't know if you guys remember this. They had a bank holiday for a whole month. The banks didn't open because they had to find a way to recoup, so they couldn't take the money out. So I guess they were gaining interest that whole time. I don't know. Let's keep going. Symbolic replies to that and says, you're not alone. I used to love this country and never saw myself ever leaving. But it's all turning into poop now. It's mostly bread dead TV sports watchers and beer drinkers now. You know the hype I'm talking about. I don't mind the odd game or a drink, but it's like a religion to these guys. I thought Americans were worse than us when it comes to that. But I'm starting to think Australians take the cake now. Though, at least people in the US actually seem to give a F about politics, show up to rallies, want some real change, etc. People just don't want to engage in politics here or talk about anything meaningful or remotely controversial anymore. I've been thinking about Vietnam as a possible alternative location to move. I know a few Aussies out there and they say living standards are great because you don't need a lot of money to live well over there. See, it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend, right? Another Western country would be great, but with the immigrant crisis happening worldwide, it just seems too risky at the moment to try to relocate. Vietnam is a good... I've been to Vietnam. I call it Saigon. They call it some other name. I almost got on the wrong gate. It's called Mo Chi Mon City or Mo Chi Con City or something like that. And I'm trying to tell the guys, like, I want to go to Saigon. He's like, no, they changed their name. Anyways, I went there. I had a great time there. I think they have that policy, just so you know. So it's not a rude awakening, but I think you can't own anything in that country. I think it's just like Thailand and China. You can't. I would strongly recommend Symbolic to maybe try Japan. Japan is very outside the major cities. Very, very friendly. When I went to Japan, it was like, whoa, everyone's your friend, but no one asks you for anything. Everyone waves at you on the street. Everyone's happy to see you. It's really good. I would try Japan because Japan is somewhat of a first world, like it's very economically advanced. It's very everything, right? There's some really poor parts of Japan when I was there I saw, but people are happy. And Japan is a country that allows you to buy if you do the proper documents. That it's not a government that's going to come and take your property like in Thailand. The government just goes on a rampage taking people's properties when they go into major deficits. I don't know. I'm just like, maybe look at Japan, maybe South Korea. South Korea is really nice too. So there's a lot of good places. Portugal is really good. I go to Portugal every other year, and I'm Portuguese, but I just can't believe how organized it is. No immigration going there because Portugal is considered the toilet of Europe, and it's been neutral during World War I and World War II. Amazing weather, very nice people. Portugal is amazing. So if you want to see like a million of me, like just talk, and everyone just talking and hanging with each other, drinking beer, having a good time, Portugal. I'm from Portugal, and I hope it gets that that vibe where just, Portugal, I'd rather go to Spain, Italy, France. Go there. Go there. Portugal's a good one. Check it out. Let's continue here. Mark Craigs. Hey, Mike. CW here. Love your work. I think us Aussies didn't understand the debt, and I believe that we think that price won't go down because of 90% interest rates we had in the 90s. Okay, we had, in Canada, we had the 14 to 18% interest rates. That was in the early 80s. I'm only 30, so I was very young at the time, but I never had anyone tell that's older than me that they lost their house at the time, when only reason I could put down to is the price of income ratio. So even at 19%, they could still cover it. These days, if the price income ratio goes anywhere to 10 to 12%, the yearly income and that at 4.5%, so my eyes, we have dug a grave. So in my eyes, we have dug a grave that we can't get out of. And we can't fill in without burying people alive, because the amount of debt people have gotten themselves into without losing out, and the banks would have a lot to answer for. Tell me what you think. This is what I replied to with him. It's either there's going to be a massive war to correct things, like a huge war, like the big wars of the 30s and the turn of the century, or a massive shutdown of markets. Some sort of a shutdown. They're going to freeze markets for a while till they could restructure or something. This is bigger than this. I replied by saying, this is going to be bigger than any other event in human history, and it will affect every human being on Earth. That's what I believe that's how big it's going to happen. Then he replied to say, yep, like the years 1930 to 1945. And then he said, yep, that corrected a lot of debt, enslaved the majority. And then I said, sorry, back to him. That corrected a lot of debt and enslaved the majority of countries in its banking world. It's a banking world. Sorry, that's my comment. Sorry, guys, the comments on here, the writing is really small, so I'm squinting. I'm trying to read it as best as possible. You could go to the page itself, to the article I'm reading here. To the comments I'm reading here. It's on Housing Crisis Australia, Credit Ratings Under Threat. So, let's go. Wow, there's so many of them here. Oh, my God. Oh, there's so many of them here. Okay. Cliff High says, Margaret O'Brien. Cliff High says that there's going to be a crisis in Australia banking involving fraud and or illegal loans. I worry about New Zealand as well, as most of the banks here are Australian owned, and neither the Australian or New Zealand government can afford to bail out these banks and still run their countries. New Zealand has one state-owned bank. Who knows where it is going? But it has not looked good for a few years now, and no one wants to do anything. I thought the purpose of government was to prevent disaster if it's foreseeable. Of course, you're right. Well, you and I and many other ordinary citizens have seen the red lights flashing for years now, and our concerns have been dismissed. Time will tell if we're right. Good to be debt-free. Yeah, you don't want to have debt. You don't want debt on your shoulders. Believe me, you don't want debt on your shoulders. So that's from the article that I read here on my channel. Wow, so many comments. And there's 44 comments awaiting approval. Wow. Under Housing Crisis Australia, Credit Ratings Under Threat. And then there's one here, Housing Crisis only in Australia, and it talks about the racism. In Australia, basically, if you mention housing crisis, you're considered a racist, right? The problem with a lot of these comments is they're very slanderous, and I don't want to get my channel flagged or shut down. I really don't want to. I really want to keep it going, and I don't want to lose. I'm doing really good here, and we're getting a good thing going, and I don't want to lose. Yeah. There's a lot of good ones here. There's a lot of long ones here. Let's see what I got here. There's a couple of people from New Zealand here, a couple of people from California, but it's all racial. Oh, here, there's a really good one by Jade Rosner. Yeah, Jade Rosner, 2 days ago, commented. I live in Vancouver, and yesterday, On Saturday, I needed to do some minimal driving as part of working, and there was almost gridlock in some areas. Have never seen this much car volume during off rush hours. I had to drive off the main roads to avoid being late. If they had blocked all the side streets I took, I would have been stuck and unable to get there in a reasonable amount of time. See, in Vancouver, if it's like 3-4 kilometers away and you're going into the city, or you have to prepare like 40 minutes just in case, because sometimes it's taken me like 30-40 minutes on a main street to get to downtown, and it's an off day, like Jade said, where it's an off day, where it's a Sunday at 3 in the afternoon, or it's a Wednesday at 4 in the morning. I'm not kidding. There are housing crises in many countries as well. It is scary who are to be the providers here while being forced to live in an unlivable situation. This is really well written, guys. So, who will be forced to move? Who will be homeless? Not the ones under the government protection. The ones who earn lower income and can't keep up with the new classism here in Vancouver. That is real. That is the real problem. Not racism, but the new prejudice being practiced by those who have enough and do not care about their society. So maybe we should be careful who we let in the door, in case they decide to take over the house. We can look at what those who want to join will do: compete or complete us. It's really good. This is the reason that the protectionism is rising, and those that seem like intruders will eventually settle and join the protectionist sentiment as they see. They can't support the new population. They can't support the new population growth. There is no reason that we can't become grossly overpopulated with record number of homeless people, like some other countries. Canada needs to define the culture and take steps to alter the current state of capitalism. The ideology of so-called economic freedom will not be rebalance the situation just on the concept on its own. People here in Vancouver have become insanely rude and self-righteous. It's more entitled. For me, I see people that they have this massive entitlement on them, that you have to bow down when they pass by you, or when they put their turn signal on, you have to stop your vehicle and let them in, regardless if they're right beside you and they're on their phone. I literally hate it here. I know that the old place I grew up is gone, picked clean like a turkey at Christmas, like Christmas. I was born here, and the last couple of years have been intolerable. This has not to do with race and more to do with inability to cope with the overcrowding. I now have people walk up behind me in the city where a sidewalk is crowded and suddenly yell in my ear from behind, "Excuse me," then smack me in the shoulder as they push past me as if the others walking beside me. And you can't talk back to these people. They behave like they have rights. Back to entitlement. So far I have been too shocked to respond. They breathe down your neck and all they yell in your ear is freaky. It's psychotic. They probably choose me because I am shorter than many people and less intimidating to push. This is the way of the belly, and they are out in force. I know I can twist out my foot and trip them, but maybe I'll just use my leg to physically prevent them from bashing me with their arm, forcing them to make a wide circle. It's like wrestling. They also drive like this too. We're not going into driving. Overcrowding causes massive social problems. I do remember David Suzuki documentary from many years ago on how overcrowding caused overpopulation in cities will affect standards of living there for all. So far, he's right on. And as far as real estate developers go, they should not be getting the rights to disrupt our lives all year round with constant road closures while city puts in more sewers and other things to support their new buildings. Who is paying for all that? Yeah, they see. You never. No one ever looks at the sewering system, the water, the electricity hookups, everything. No one's ever looking at that. So they can make a huge profits off their often low standard condos. If it's the public taxpayer, well, they aren't getting the share of the profits. They just get all the overcrowding problems. No parking, gridlock, traffic, etc. Is this a materialistic model of society worth it? They all come here from other provinces or wherever to get their piece of it. Do they care about their society, or is it to get their property rights for me and mine and my family? What if they were made to contribute to stability instead of using politics to work the system? Scandinavian countries and other countries like them have some ways to deal with this. We need models for living and are so much better. They will replace the consumerism dinosaur. That's a really good one. This way of living is an archaic relic. I am open to something new, as long as it doesn't choke off my right to express myself. Give up my uniqueness to become a conformist, or force me to live in a one-room condo with a gerbil wheel in it. We now live in the new world. That's incredible. I don't even think Winston Churchill could have said that any better. Thanks, Jade, for sharing that. It's people like you that weigh into the channel that make it worthwhile. I'm just the guy in the middle, you know, the guy that kind of, you know, moderates and takes care of things and reads the articles and lets you guys do, you know, weigh in on this. There's a lot of racial. Oh, this is Mike Dam. Mike Dam Nobody. He weighs in and says, don't they know that racism doesn't exist anymore? Conservatives have built a utopia. So true, Mike. So true, Mike. This is another one. It's really long. This one's for New Zealand. I'm gonna read through it, and if there's anything racial in it, I'll skip to it. Okay, I'm gonna skip it through the middle of this comment. You could read it in full. And the gentleman, oh sorry, it's Margaret. Sorry, Margaret O'Brien. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit further here. I just don't want to get flagged. There are also quite a few empty houses in Auckland, but I don't think it is as obvious as Sydney, Melbourne, and Vancouver. You could add Toronto to that list, 95,000 empty homes. But there really is no sure way of knowing unless the data is collected. And there's no political will do that. Okay, that's what it says. This is an election year, and the election is in September as winter ends. Hopefully, this may cause change of policy. That's what I said. Vote him out. Vote him out. That's what Nigel Farage says all the time. Vote him out. Get him out. Same thing that Nigel Farage and who else? Max Kaiser. Vote him out. Vote him out. I am a baby boomer, and I do have a second house. Just a big house so I can house my adult children, partners, and the grandchildren until this thing blows up. Wow. That's very, very thoughtful of you. Generous. Given how small New Zealand is and the lack of housing stock, it could take a while. And it's spreading. I heard a woman went to a real estate agent in Cornwall recently and wanted to buy 10 houses. Foreign investor. There were only 6 for sale, and she bought them all, and said she would buy the next 4 if they come available. Cromwell is a small town in central Otago. Hard to understand. Hard to understand why she would go in there and buy 10 homes there. So, wow, this is a long one, man. If you guys are still watching this, thanks for watching, guys. There's more here. Let's go to this last one. This is a short one, and this one actually made me very emotional. I've never I don't get emotional reading comments, but this one is good. It says, Mike, you are a highly intelligent, caring person. Wow. A nice family man who loves his wife and kids. I started watching your videos initially regarding the housing crisis in Vancouver. Every video you had a simple in-depth analysis. What makes your videos precious is your honest and logical approach, connecting the facts and the latest news, and making correct conclusions. After watching many of your housing crisis videos, I am now enjoying and learning from all your other non-housing videos. I only watch CNN before I sit and watch it. But after I watch your videos, your passion for life turns a boring, unnoticed real estate news into an exciting show and a nice lesson in economy that I never learned in universities. I love the house you bought recently and how you worked on it to make it suitable for your family. And I love the hills and the neighborhood around your new home. What I admire most, however, is your courage in believing in yourself and trying to make the world a better place for you and your family and the rest of the people. Thanks for your videos, Nader. It's Nader from Toronto. Thank you so much, Nader. I'm speechless. Absolutely speechless. I don't even know what to say to that. I'm just really happy. And guys, like I said, put me on social. Go back to some of my good stories from Australia, New Zealand, Vancouver. Go back to your social media, share some of them. Let's get this out there because it's got to get out there. And the only way to get out there is through social media. The only way to get out there and get ourselves known is through social media and expanding our presence. Excellent comments. I'm really happy, guys, for this, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Comment below, and if you've watched until now, 31 minutes and 55, 56, 57, 58 seconds, I'm really impressed. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share this video and get it out there.